Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. And following the completion of Celtic signing Jamai Simpson-Pusey from Man City on loan, the attention has turned to the forward line. Celtic fans are desperately asking for Celtic to make reinforcements to the front three. And today we have some news about a centre-half. Yep, another centre-half. If you haven't already, go down below, hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Welcome to another edition of Celtic Transfer Talk, where we do have a fresh transfer rumour to talk about, which is nice. I'm very happy that's the case today, because I thought for a wee while this morning there would be nothing. However, it is to do with another centre-half, which kind of goes against everything Celtic fans are asking for at this moment in time. However, we do have brief updates on other areas. We will get through that as the video goes on, but let's start with that fresh report that emerged this afternoon. So this headline went live around 1 o'clock this afternoon via the Daily Record that Celtic are ready to raid Japan again as Adam Obert emerges as another transfer target. Brendan Rodgers is desperate to add to his squad with Jamai Simpson-Pusey as his latest arrival from Manchester City. Now, don't let this headline confuse you. We'll talk about the Japan side of things in a moment. The name that stands out though is Adam Obert, who has nothing to do with Japan. He's not a Japanese international. He doesn't play in the J League. At first, when I read this headline, it took me a second because I thought they were saying that Adam Obert plays in Japan, but that is not the case. He's a Slovakian centre-half who currently plays for Cagliari in Serie A. So we'll talk about the Japanese part of that headline in a moment, but let's focus first on Adam Obert. The article from the Daily Record went on to say that Celtic reportedly want to add another defender to their ranks this summer in the shape of Adam Obert. The Slovakia under-21 international who plays his club football in Italy with Cagliari is said to be on the radar of Brendan Rodgers with a proposed fee already booted out by the Serie A side. Now, we'll look at where the original report came from in a moment, but this comes as not a huge shock to me in terms of position anyway, because I said yesterday it looks like Celtic are still in the market for another centre-half in this window. But what doesn't also come as a surprise to me is the fact that Celtic have apparently already bidded, and the fact that that bid is short of what Cagliari are looking for. So the report spawns from a publication in Italy called L'Unione Sarda, who said yesterday afternoon that Adam Obert has been subject of an offer received by Celtic, but apparently we have failed to reach the right figures to come to an agreement. A raise will be necessary to see them leave. Now, there is no talk of what that bid will be, or has been, I should say. There is no talk of what Cagliari are looking for as an improved offer. All there is in this article is that Celtic have bidded and that they've had a bid rejected. So if there is truth in that, that seems to be the story of our summer in a nutshell. So it's very, very believable. Now, Transfermarkt have the player valued at something around €3 million, so you would assume that Cagliari are looking for something in the region of €3 to €5 million, considering he does play quite a bit of football for them. Not a constant starter, didn't start all 38 league games for Cagliari last season, but if you look at his stats from the last couple of years upon promotion to the Serie A, he has been involved 44 times in those 2 seasons, so he is quite an important player to them, a player who they have apparently spoke about moving on this summer, and I think he looks like somebody who would be a very good asset to Celtic. In all honesty, I'm kind of all in on it, even though it's not a priority at this point in the window. He's a left-footed centre-half that naturally plays on the left side of defence. He's 6'2" roughly in height, which would add a presence to the back line. He has played over 40 games in Italy's top flight, and he's a Slovakian international as well. He's played 11 times for the Slovakian national team. He is only 22 years of age, which means he has a lot of potential. I think that this is a player that has all the makings of somebody who could be a great signing for Celtic. I think that it would make a lot of sense, quite honestly. I mean, when Jamai Simpson-Pusey was initially linked with the club, my instant reaction was, hold on, he's not left-footed. But I think if you gave yourself a centre-half conundrum of Vickers and Pusey as your right footers, with Obert, Trusty and Scales as your left footers, you're pretty solid, you're pretty set. And then don't forget we have Dane Murray in there as well. I think that is 6 centre-halves, arguably too many centre-halves, that offer a great deal of depth and variety for a season that will include 4 competitions. But I really like the look of Obert. I really, really do. I think he would be a great addition to the squad. I think that he would tick a lot of boxes for Brendan Rodgers. I think that he's somebody who fits the model of what we do. And as I said, I can't stress this enough. Not a priority right now. The front line should be the priority, but doesn't mean that I don't like the look of this player. So now we just need to wait and see what happens next, if his name will come up again. If it is true and the story is legitimate, then Celtic, you would assume, will go back in with an improved offer. Even if it is only £100,000 or £200,000 with the way we operate, you would assume that Celtic will improve on their initial bid. But we're just going to have to wait and see. As I said, it's an unknown publication to me. It's not as if I'm Italian and I'm familiar with all the Italian publications, but it does seem quite reputable, does seem somewhat trustworthy. Yeah, we'll wait and see if anything comes from this. So to take ourselves back to the initial article we spoke about in the video, the Daily Record article by Scott Burns, which mentioned Japan in the headline, we should probably see what that's all about. Now, it's no specific names, but there is a mention that Celtic might be still looking in that Japanese market. So this is what Scott Burns wrote later on in the article after discussing the Obert rumours. He said that one man who's been a long-term target is Michel-Ange Balikwisha, and that does remain the case. So stressing that Balikwisha still is a target for Celtic. We'll come to him in a few moments. But here was the interesting part. Celtic are spinning a number of plates on the transfer front, and it all comes down to where they feel they can get the best value for money. They've not been strangers to the Japanese market in recent years, and Record Sport understands another potential move is still in the offing, while the club are also watching other European-based players in person. So, to summarise, Balikwisha, still a target for the club. Celtic are actively scouting European-based players in person throughout this portion of pre-season and the beginning of domestic seasons. And the Japanese market is still something that Celtic are very much looking into. But the main takeaway is, and the one that is going to wind up most Celtic fans is, it looks as though deals are going to be prioritised if they represent value for money. And let me make this clear, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, we want value for money. We don't want to waste money on duds. Of course, that's just part and parcel with trying to sign players. You want to make the right signings for the right amount of money. Duh, right? That's plainly obvious. But that's not something that Celtic fans are going to be happy to hear at this moment in time. The fans just want the club, to spend money, to get players through the door. And if we spend the last 3 or 4 weeks of this transfer window looking for bargain buys and scraping the bottom of the barrel for the cheapest signings, that's going to spell a disaster for fan reaction and potentially for the team if things don't go to plan. So I think that fans are well and truly warranted to have the reservations when they read stuff like this. For as nervous as I'm starting to get with the recruitment in the front line this season, I think the main thing that I'm trying to take away from this article is at least that Celtic have plates spinning and they are looking at players. But we need to get a move on. And there's no specific names mentioned about these European-based players we're scouting or these potential J-League targets that we're looking at again. But I think we need to start hearing names soon, just to usher some calm into the support, some confidence into the support more than anything. I think at this point we just want to feel a confidence moving into European qualifiers, moving into a league season where we're seeing probably improved sides across the league. I think that's what we need. So hopefully this is maybe the start of that, and this is an indication that names might start coming out soon. So Michel-Ange Balikwisha has been a tiresome one to talk about all summer. I think I'm just calling it how it is at this point. Somebody who I was dead set on being a Celtic player. I still have a feeling he will be. And by all accounts, it sounds like Celtic are still interested. Now, you're probably looking for an update on his scenario. We just spoke about that line in the Records article that says he's essentially still a target for Celtic. But the last known update that we have was from Sacha Tavolieri in Belgium, a very reputable Belgian journalist who reported this on August 2nd, which was Saturday. Michel-Ange Balikwisha is still a target for Celtic, who's likely to move forward, in the case of Champions League qualification. So this could be one that we're holding out for till after the potential Slovan Bratislava or Kairat Almaty game. It makes no sense to me either. Don't take it out on me. I don't know why Celtic are waiting to qualify before signing a player rather than get the player in for qualification. But that seems to be the latest update that we have as of August 2nd. There has been nothing since. I know people keep asking, but that's all that's really out there right now. And finally, we're going to talk about this very quickly because honestly, I don't want to talk about this. It's just a lot of nonsense, but I thought that I'd put my opinion out there for those who might care about my 2 cents. So this article from Footy Insider has picked up a lot of steam this past 12 hours or so that was saying essentially that Stefan Bajcetic of Liverpool is going to leave for Celtic and that Celtic are edging closer for a move. It's been doing the rounds on social media all morning, all last night. People seem to think that he is legitimately going to be joining Celtic. Listen, I'm willing to put my own reputation on the line here just to tell you this here and now. No, he's not. Stefan Bajcetic to Celtic is something that's been bubbling away in the background for the last week or two with no real substance to actually happening. The only reports that have come out about it have been from Footy Insider, who I have been telling you on this channel for years are one of the worst sources out there for transfer information. Especially when it comes to exclusives. Now, it's easy to piggyback on the back of credible sources, credible journalism, to then say you were right about something, but the exclusives that break from Footy Insider, typically over the years, as proven on this channel, have been false, have been nonsense. And I think this is another case of it. Number one, just because of the source, but number two, just because, well, it makes no sense. Celtic don't need another central midfielder. And I know he seems to be a quality central midfielder, but this is where the things start to look just stupid altogether. Liverpool are very good at business. They are very good at business. They get money out of players, like similar to how Celtic have done, that don't have any use to them, that don't I've sort of came to the end of their tenure at Liverpool. They've just received almost £60 million for Darwin Núñez, who looks rotten. I think we all know that. But this one, Tyler Morton, has just got a move to Lyon for £15 million. Stefan Bajcetic is going to be somebody that they're looking for roughly the same, if not more. And there's talk of this being a loan with an obligation to buy or an option to buy or whatever. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. And I will eat both my arms and legs if he becomes a Celtic player this summer. Look, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying that there's zero chance. I'm just saying that there's probably less than a 5% chance. And I'm pretty confident. I've asked about, and I think if you just use your own logic as well, all signs just seem to indicate it being a nothing story. And there's a reason that nobody actually credible or of any form of reputation is talking about Stefan Bajcetic going to Celtic, because it's not happening. Right, that does it for today. If you've enjoyed, make sure to hit like and subscribe. I'm going to move and get this edited before things start to chop and change. I'm hoping it's going to be a busy week for Celtic moving on from here, but seems like patience is certainly what we need. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.